podcast.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a podcast?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and
podcast.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
All right, in 3, 2, 1.
Hey everyone, welcome to Get to the Podcast. That's Get to the Podcast with the number 2, and this is our 30th episode. 30! I am super excited. What?
That's crazy. How did we get to 30?
I don't know.
I thought the FBI would have raided us by now and shut us down.
Yeah.
FDA something. I don't know.
NSA.
Well, definitely the NSA.
Just call them all. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
DEA.
DEA. CBS. Something.
DOD.
DOD.
Why are there always 3?
Why are we like a multi-business type of deal? Like we're narcos. What's going?
We do it all.
We do it all. We're doing cocaine right now, actually.
And thank you for admitting it in the podcast, where now millions of people are listening.
Shoot up an 8-ball by
and
the
some
end
of the people are saying, "Hey, we should send this to DEA. We caught 3. Maybe we could get a little award." I don't know.
Yeah. Well, anyways, but that's
DEA. Those are good guys.
But that has nothing to do with anything. We're at episode 30.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're episode 30.
3
Hey,
0.
There you go, Neil. Congratulations, guys.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Nick.
Congratulations to you too.
Don't fucking patronize me.
We always be together.
Jam-a-lam-a-ding-dong.
Oh yeah.
Anyways.
He's talking about his ding dong now. All right. Anyway, so today we're gonna. Yeah, there's a few change. So all right. So today's podcast, we're gonna talk about a little argument that I know Neil and Nick has. I'm kind of gonna be in the middle on this, and I'll explain why. But we're gonna talk about Deep Impact versus Armageddon.
Ooh, another face-off.
Uh-oh.
I like doing these versus episodes.
I do too.
I do.
fun.
I'm really at my core an argumentative person, and not in a mean-spirited way, but I just really love to fight.
Yeah, I love when other people are wrong too.
Yeah, that does feel good. These versus episodes, we've done Stanley Kubrick versus Christopher Nolan. We've done Van Damme versus Steven Seagal.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, Deep Impact versus Armageddon is probably our oldest argument, though. You know, like our oldest versus argument, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm an Armageddon guy,
Right.
and you're a Deep Impact guy.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, I'm also a Deep Impact guy,
honestly, not
but
really.
on a different level.
We both enjoy both the films.
Yes.
But,
I think everybody understands that you
we
both
have different
like
takes
both films, but there's one that
honestly, the argument predates our ever talking about it.
Oh yeah, no, it's an argument for the ages. I mean, people have been arguing about this since cavemen were drawing on walls. But here's the thing, right? Deep Impact is a good movie. Yeah. Armageddon is a good movie. They're both entertaining movie. Neither of them are masterpieces, but they're both very fun to watch. They both came out the same year and had the same basic premise. It was an asteroid's coming to Earth to destroy it. People need to land on this thing, and they need to put bombs inside of it to blow it up. That's it. Like, it's the same fucking concept of both of them, but they do it from very different angles and in different ways.
I have to say that I think Armageddon had like one of the greatest advertisement for when that movie was coming out, because they had countdowns everywhere.
Did they?
I do remember.
I don't remember that.
They had all their posters had countdowns, and it was talking countdown to the end of days or something like that.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was super cool. So.
Yeah, and they, I don't know. It's an interesting. Both of the films, I think, are very interesting, and how they portray like a extinction level event and that whole concept and all that stuff. And Armageddon makes sense that it's called Armageddon because the asteroid is the size of Texas, and it literally would destroy planet Earth.
Right,
like not just wipe out life, like it'd probably wipe out everything on the planet, throw it off its rotation, and just create all kinds of chaos. But in Deep Impact, it's only the size of what? New York City?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a tiny little baby thing. But it's big enough to basically wipe out most of the planet from the aftermath.
The aftermath,
of what happens. Not necessarily the impact, but just the throwing all the dust up in the atmosphere, killing off all the plant life,
Right.
And it's just different. They're different takes. Like the Armageddon, the whole take of that film is like from the viewpoint of the the miners or the drillers or oil riggers
yeah.
that like get on the makeshift space shuttle that they put together in like 24 hours, and
They've always got
Was
a
it
space
24
shuttle.
hours? I thought it was 3 days.
No, it wasn't.
it was
24
like
hours.
10
it was like a
or
couple
15
weeks.
days they had. They
Yeah.
had like 15 days notice.
They've
to
always
save
got a
planet
space
Earth.
shuttle
Like,
sitting
it was
around.
that ridiculous.
They've always got a space shuttle sitting around. Come on, what do you think they're doing?
In
They think
Deep
they're not making
Impact, they
space
had
shuttles?
like took 2.5 years. Or
Wait,
something
was it
to
the
plan for
space
this
shuttle
shit.
that they had to put together, or was it the rig that they had to put together?
No, the space
they-
shuttle
the
was
space
modified.
shuttle.
They modified a space
Yeah.
shuttle within days.
Okay.
To
I mean, listen, there's a
fly
lot of.
like a Ferrari.
Here's what I would say. There's
gigantic-
implausible shit in both movies. But Armageddon, being a more stylistic, crazy movie, it does offer up more implausible shit than Deep Impact. Here's the thing about it. One is more boring than the other. And which one do you think that is?
Armageddon is the more boring.
You're fucking
one.
out of your mind.
Thank you.
So not true. Deep Impact is a more boring movie. I do enjoy it. I do
crazy.
enjoy it, but it is more boring.
No.
It's more subdued in emotion. It's more subdued.
Well,
we were watching.
I
it
think
last
boring
night.
is the wrong word.
No,
'cause-
that's
boring
the
is the
right
wrong
no,
word. It's a
Armageddon
drama.
is
I was
Armageddon is more of a
I didn't say
roller
it's a
coaster
boring movie, I said
ride.
it's more boring.
And
Yeah.
Deep Impact is more of a story ride. It's more on story.
Funnily enough,
No.
not true. We rewatched it last night. It is
I
not true that
rewatched
it is
it
more of
last
a
night.
story. It's just less laughs, and it's less. That's it. It's just not. It's just less funny.
It's more of a story.
There's not more story. No, let me tell
We're-
you something.
no.
Let me tell you something. It's actually not. We rewatched it last night. You shut your goddamn mouth. It is not less.
an emotion.
It is not more of a story. You watch it.
It is.
No, you keep saying. I just want to smack the shit out of your mouth. It's actually no. Let's just stop and think about what makes it more of a story. You just answer that question, and then I'll come back with my rebuttal, just so we're not talking over each other.
So-
tell me why it's more of a story, quote unquote.
Armageddon hit a couple of genres. So it got comedy in there. It got sci-fi in there. It got romance in there. It hit multiple genres, which makes it a summer blockbuster, which is not just a story-based film. It had a great story
it's
to it. It
literally
had
a story.
It had a great story to it.
It's a fucking.
But it hit.
Stop shaking your head, Neil.
It did. No, I agree. No, I agree. I think. Look, I like them both. I love them both, but they're two different style films to me.
Deep Impact.
Deep Impact. You said I was going to speak and let me finish.
Yeah, but you're just taking
motherfucker.
forever. Go ahead.
So-
Keep going. Keep going. I'll let you go.
Look,
Go.
this motherfucker who takes 15, 30 minutes to explain one thing.
I do
talking
it.
about-
I take it too. I do it rapid fire though. I'm like spitting the shit. I'm like, spit out your words, motherfucker.
Yeah, then 30 minutes later. All right, so Deep Impact was more focused on what people were doing during these events. It was more story based on what the people were doing on those events.
True.
Yes, it had the sci-fi aspect of it where the meteor was going to hit the Earth, and then the aftermath people had to worry about and everything. But it was more about where families were doing. So it was really focused on those stories.
Yeah.
It was. That is true. So it's basically smaller stories. No, none of them have large narratives. Hold on. Smaller stories.
Wait,
about
we're
these
comparing
individual-
this to Armageddon, right? You're not just talking in
No,
general.
No, I'm talking about in general and
Okay.
comparing it to Armageddon. It's got smaller stories about these individuals, right? And they never fully flesh out any particular line as well as they could have. Think about that.
What are you
Wood
saying
thing,
line? What do you mean line?
like if you take a narrative line, right? Like you take one of the characters and you go, okay, good. This is their character arc. This is what's happening with them. Tia Leone probably had the most going on. You don't see a lot. Morgan Freeman's president thing, you don't see a lot that's going on with him beyond just basically speaking in front of the camera. Okay? Doesn't do a lot more than that. Elijah Wood, you expect more to be happening here. Even when
I feel like a lot happens with Elijah Wood's character.
it doesn't actually.
Him
No.
and Lily
Let's talk about
Sobieski
it for a second. He finds the thing in the beginning, right? And then he doesn't show up again for a while, and then he.
Yeah, but they show him at the high school where he's
They
like
announce it.
presented as the the
It's
asteroid was named
scene.
after him.
It's like a 5-minute scene,
And it was
right?
humorous,
And
though.
then,
It, like-
and then he's like, "Hey, let's get on this thing." And then all of a sudden he's at that base, and then he's like, "I'm gonna go get her." And then he's driving to the thing, and he sees her. And then they go and they get on top of the thing. That's his entire narrative in the character.
But it's
in
more
that whole
fleshed
movie.
out than
It's not.
Armageddon.
It's not.
Armageddon is like 10 characters, and then it's like
All
these
the
weird,
characters-
like completely different asinine snippets of their personality and like flashbacks to their lives before
Yes,
they went
even though
to
it's out of-
space.
yes.
And it's just it's like a schizophrenic film. It's like
It's stylistic.
and you're like
It's more
not
energy. It's a
stylistic.
blockbuster.
It's like,
It's
a first off, it's
Michael
stylistic.
Bay is like a crazy person. Like that, he edited that movie. I mean, all of his films have a similar feel to
Yeah.
it, but that movie specifically stands out because it's so like it's not bad.
It's a good
It's
movie.
fun to watch.
Michael
and it's
Bay makes
entertaining, but-
blockbusters, and that's what it was.
Yeah.
Hold on, it's Armageddon. Okay, it's a good movie. That was
It's
terrible.
no,
That was terrible.
I agree. I
terrible.
agree with there was multiple little stories in Deep Impact, but that's just like saying that I take that statement and I look at Crash, which was multiple small stories that came into a big story, you know, and it used that.
Crash was done better.
Crash was I'm not comparing the two.
Yeah.
Crash is
Better
like,
than Deep Impact?
insanely
in terms
incredible.
of like the way they do the ensemble
Insane
piece.
incredible.
Because Deep Impact is an ensemble thing. There's not one main character.
No, there's not. But they fleshed out people's story, and at the end, you really felt the impact of Tia Leone, Elijah Wood. You felt the impact. You felt what
why do I keep forgetting this
Morgan
guy's name?
Duvall?
Freeman had
Robert
to do
Duvall.
to bring the
Robert
people
Duvall.
together. You felt those from them.
No,
You felt the ship. I mean, like, dude, I literally like almost cried when they were communicating. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yes.
I did cry during
Yes.
this. I watched
This
it last
is
night. I
crazy.
cried during the scene where the mother says bye to her daughter, and the daughter goes, "I love you," because I have a 2-year-old daughter, and that was really.
But that
like,
happens
I watched
throughout
that,
the film, though.
and I
Even the
felt
scene
that.
when Elijah Wood goes and the mother gives, you know, the little baby sister
Yeah.
to Lily Sobieski. And,
You're talking about two kids that had to get married just like to basically
they're
save
literally-
the family.
Yeah, they're like
It's
kid, like
crazy. That's the story
Okay,
for
okay.
it.
good.
force this, and they showed that. They showed that it's like, look at the lengths that people go to, like, for the continuity of humanity. Like,
Yes,
you know, this is
totally,
so crazy.
and that was totally cool. And I love the in Deep Impact. I love the lottery aspect of it, where they were like, we can only put 1 million people.
yeah, and then
in
they
these
just
underground
completely
caves.
cut out all the old people. Like, if you're over 50, you're out.
Yeah.
You're not even going to be included.
Totally, and
Like-
that's great. And that scene at the end, I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but goddamn, see this movie.
It came out in 1998.
I know. I know.
you're-
We got to make a rule
You're
about
a
these
tough.
spoilers.
You're a tough dude, but
That's
when
20
it comes
years
to
ago next
spoilers,
year.
you know, I'm like, that's where I'm tough. Like, if you haven't seen this film,
it's
Deep
been 20
Impact,
years.
and it's been 20 years, and it was like this grand of a film, like, honestly, I'm not gonna say you suck, but
Yeah.
here's a hint.
Exactly. But so at the end of this movie, there's just a scene with Tia Leone. I'm not going to say the specifics, but Tia Leone and her father, and they're on the
Which
beach.
is similar to
And-
Star Trek.
Okay. So Tia Leone.
I mean, Star Wars. I'm sorry.
All right, dude. I get it. That's true. It actually, yeah, Rogue One.
It's
Similar
funny
to the
that
end
you
of Rogue
pointed
One.
that out when we watched it,
We didn't do a
because
spoiler,
I
but
always
yeah.
remembered that scene.
Yeah.
It always stuck out to me.
Yeah, it's Tia's reaction at the end of that scene. Okay, there's this wave coming in, this tidal wave coming
like-
in, and they're holding each other. She's just finally reconciled with her father. Her mother's dead. They're the only family they've left. His wife has left him. His new wife has left him, and they're just standing there on the beach, and they've reconciled, and they're holding each other, and the tidal wave's coming in.
That's incredible.
And
It's
she
like-
she
it's
gets
huge.
she gets
It's a
scared
huge
like a
tidal
little girl.
wave.
All of a sudden, she becomes like a little girl again in her father's arms, and
And he finally
and she-
becomes a father to her.
That's right. And she curls into him and she goes, "Daddy." She's there's fear, and he holds her, and he's like, "I got you." Like it's
and then they're both, you know.
yeah, and then they're both killed. Let's just say, but it's actually a pretty amazing scene. It's this
Yeah.
little snippet. That scene and that scene where that mother's saying goodbye to her daughter. Over the camera or whatever, and the father has her in their arms. She goes, "I love you." Because
There's so many scenes, though.
So those two scenes really did get me.
Yeah.
Last night. And I do enjoy. Like I said, I enjoy the movie. Morgan Freeman's great in it.
I feel like there wasn't any. It didn't fall flat anywhere.
Yeah, he's like a black president. Like that was actually around the
He's
time
like
period
a
where they
black-
started
black
actually.
president?
No.
He
That was
was a
around the
black
time period
president.
where they started putting like black presidents in movies. Like they had Fifth Element, which was kind of the future. But like this is the first movie I remember
Oh,
going
yeah.
black president.
Yeah,
like,
first black presidents.
Yeah.
before
This is
Obama.
before 24, season 1.
Yeah, it's
Oh, yeah, good
it's
call.
5 years before 24, or no, 4 years before 24.
Yeah.
3 years.
I'm just glad Morgan Freeman didn't take credit for
Yeah.
Obama.
See, this is where I understand.
So I like the movie. Like I do actually enjoy Deep Impact. I want to again make that clear.
Yeah.
But when you start shitting on Armageddon and saying it's a way
Nobody's-
superior, hold on. Yes, you are. Shut the fuck up. When you say Armageddon is a shit movie or not a good movie, or it's like,
All right.
it's not. It's
You know why
actually,
I
it's
say
got
this?
emotion. Let me just finish what I'm saying real quick. Armageddon has emotion and it has a good, entertaining story. Sure, there's more implausibility. There's more things that don't make sense in that way. Like why are you putting oil riggers on a comet? The stakes are higher. It's a comet or an asteroid the size of Texas, not New York. That's like the biggest state we have. and there's all this emotion with all the different characters.
His rapid fire, right?
His
rapid fire.
He's just reaching with straws, man.
No, he's
like
not.
grasping. He's like, please.
I will agree with you.
Give me some
Like
reasons.
I want to just lay out the visual real quick for me. Here, when I'm talking, all you guys do over there just shaking your head, like going.
I'm not shaking my head.
You are. You're crazy.
I just
shaking
said
your head.
I agree with. Did
You're
I just
cocking your
say
eyes.
I just said I agree with you.
I'm trying to make a point here.
I know, and I just said I agree with you. Why am I shaking my head?
Oh, you didn't just say grasping? Grasping?
No, he said grasping.
You said grasping, you crazy.
I did not say grasp. Did I say grasping?
I don't know. I don't
Neil,
know.
he said
It's
grasping.
getting too crazy.
Neil did.
All right, we need to get to the
All
point
right.
here, the subject.
Look,
First of
I
all,
agree
let
with
me-
you. I agree with you.
Finish your thing.
Okay,
Go
let me
ahead.
actually finish my thing.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
seriously though. Okay, Armageddon does have
Rapid fire,
emotion.
though.
This motherfucker. This motherfucker. Okay, so here's what we got, right? Armageddon has emotion. You're talking about Deep Impact has these emotional things and things like that. Armageddon has that. I've heard more people talk about that end scene where Bruce Willis is saying goodbye to Liv Tyler, where he basically sacrifices himself to save the world. And he's saying goodbye to her, and she's got her hand on the screen, and she's like, Daddy, like, and she's crying, and he'd promised he was coming back, and he goes, I just promise I'm going to have to break Grace. Like, it's a great scene. Yes, you also have the great Aerosmith song as well, which was a hit at that time. Deep Impact, I don't remember any songs, coming from that time.
it wasn't, yeah.
But that was like a nice touch to it. It's a great song. It's a great Aerosmith song. So you just have that additional plus on it. But that scene is very emotional. There are emotional scenes. There's the guy with his ex-wife, his strange wife, and his daughter.
Yeah.
That connection. You have a lot of human connections. The characters are more fleshed out. The characters in Deep Impact run together. You don't really go, oh, this is a defined character separate from this. What makes them different? If you were to take those characters and place them in another scenario, another movie, those Deep Impact characters, I wouldn't know what they would do because I don't know enough about these characters. I don't know how they would act in a different scenario. Armageddon, you go, that is a very different character from that character. And they have a huge cast in Armageddon, and each one feels vividly different. And if you dropped him in a different scenario, different movie, I'd be like, oh, that's the kind of guy that would do this. And he would be more like that kind of... And you could go, they're cliche characters. But no, they're defined. They have more. They were fleshed out more than Deep Impact. Deep Impact, they run together.
I do agree with you a little bit on this point, but
Yeah.
I feel like in Deep Impact, they're telling a story. And they're for the purpose of the story, like, this is how normal people would react to an extraordinary situation.
Right.
But in Armageddon, like... I feel like I don't even know anybody. I've never met anyone in my life that was like the people in Armageddon.
Right.
Like, that's how ridiculous these characters are. That's how ridiculous they feel.
But it's a
they don't.
movie.
They feel like cartoon characters.
That's okay, though.
But
It's
see,
trying to
that-
be
No,
that.
I know
that's what I'm
it's okay,
saying.
and I'm not saying
It's-
it's a bad thing. It's definitely something you should get from film. But
Yeah.
it's like, at the same time, I'm like, I wouldn't hold Armageddon up as this like great achievement in filmmaking because these people are like cartoon
It is
characters.
a great summer blockbuster popcorn movie.
It is,
Absolutely.
and I enjoy it for that. But that's it.
But that's all it's supposed to be.
And-
It's not trying to be anything else. It's entertainment.
But we're talking about,
I think
like,
he's talking
entertainment.
Better
comparing to-
film, like overall better film.
Deep Impact is not.
Best meal.
No.
Like what? How? What was?
Deep Impact is
Guys,
not.
please do not take this to food again.
Yeah, I know. What feels like a Happy Meal? What feels no? If you
Armageddon
Deep Impact,
is like 1 out of 4 of those little mini burger things.
Deep
you get. What are
Impact-
they called?
White
Sliders?
Castle?
White Castle
It's
sliders.
like a White Castle slider, and then a Deep Impact is like a gigantic
Jumbo
Massive burger.
Angus like beef
Angus
or
beef
buffalo
with
beef.
Onion rings
all right,
on
man.
top.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm not
onion
hungry
rings,
right
you
now.
got a fried egg on there. Like you got a whole thing.
Sounds
man.
terrible. Here's the thing.
It's
Deep
very
Impact,
unhealthy for you.
Deep Impact, yes, it is. Deep Impact does not deliver throughout the film. That scene where they drop on the asteroid
crazy.
is very.
What?
They don't show a lot of it. Armageddon's got way
That's
more
not
going
the
on.
point of
It's
the
more-
movie.
Hold on.
That wasn't the point of the movie.
No, the
really
point is,
wasn't
I'm just
the
saying.
point.
You say it's not the point, but then why'd they show it in the fucking movie?
The movie was
They
based...
literally show scenes in the movie. It's all about this asteroid, and they don't
Yes.
show a lot of that. They don't show a lot of stuff happening.
Have you ever seen the movie?
You're trying to equate them too much.
Remember the movie Monsters on Netflix about the whole world was invaded?
Yeah. That was a great movie.
And it was about the
It's like an indie
photographers.
film.
The photographers.
Goes
and stuff.
down to South America.
You never truly saw the aliens. You never saw
it was
the
like
invasion.
shadows and like blurry things
Exactly.
in the background.
Yeah. But the story was great, and you felt a connect. It was a great. Like if you guys have not seen this film, I think people should see this film. It was a great Netflix film. It got passed by because it wasn't that done by a big company. But here's the thing: Deep Impact. it wasn't focused on the whole world ending. It was focused on what the people were doing during the world while the world was ending. And it was more focused on the people and their storyline.
Which is fine.
Yeah, but you're saying they should have shown more. Where I understand why Armageddon.
No, but they did show it, but they didn't
Yeah,
show.
you have to show it.
No,
It's also-
I know, but they didn't show it in a great way. Like
No,
I'm just
yes,
saying,
they
they
did.
decided to put elements in there, but didn't actually go for the fucking gold.
It's
on them.
also
They didn't-
it's a
that wasn't their
drama.
goal.
At the end,
It was a drama.
It wasn't
which
their
is-
goal.
yeah,
And
exactly,
it was
it was
this.
a drama.
It was a female director, Mimi Leader or something
Yeah.
like that. Like
Yeah.
it was like her first major Hollywood film. Like if you look at her entire filmography prior to that, it was like films you never heard of. Like
Right.
like these low budget films. Like so, she was like a newcomer to this. Michael Bay, I think, had already had what
Bad Boys.
Bad Boys. So he was
The Rock may
grooved
have
in
been
more.
a year before.
But that's
Yeah.
what Armageddon was. Armageddon was about that spectacular scene, those good comedic moments, those grand interactions. When we talk about the scene that she cried with the baby, and the scene where Liv Tyler was talking to you can see the different right there. It shows the difference where there was like with Liv Tyler. It was like multiple screens, a huge monitor. It was grand.
It was
scene.
more
Where
appealing
Deep
to the
Impact,
eye.
Where
Very
Deep Impact was
unrealistic.
more.
It would if
Well,
they were at
well, look
NASA,
at-
they'd be in like a tiny 5x5 room with like a screen.
Exactly,
or something.
which
Like,
that's
it's-
what Deep Impact did. It was more personal. It was shot more personal. It was more between the two people, which was a story more about people, not about the whole ending of the world or of Earth, where the whole thing with Armageddon, it was grand, like you said.
Yeah, and they did show.
That's the
We
difference.
talked about this before, but the Deep Impact is focused mainly on the United States handling of the situation, the United States viewpoint of people in the United States.
Yeah.
I mean that the
It was very
meteor did
anti-other
impact
countries.
right off the coast of right off the East Coast. So it was kind of like it made sense that they would focus on that.
Right.
But the whole film, they barely talk about other nations and what they're doing, and I don't think they even actually
didn't even show them.
any other nations. In Armageddon, they.
was
But
more-
Armageddon, it's like the things the size of Texas. I mean, it's going to take out the whole planet. If it hits, it's not like
And the cast
The
were
stakes
people
are
on the
higher.
Other side of
culturally
the planet are
different.
gonna survive.
The cast was culturally different.
yeah.
So
I will say though, because you brought up the Liv Tyler Bruce Willis scene where he sacrifices himself, big guy Bruce Willis.
Why are you
Literally-
doing air quotes? He's exactly what he does. It's not an air quotable thing.
But in Deep Impact, literally one after another, scene after scene of people sacrificing themselves for humanity in this movie, and nobody props that person up or whatever. Like to them, it's like, oh, the astronauts who survive, have the failed attempt in Deep Impact, decide that they're going to fly their craft and kill themselves to save, because they're like, if we don't do something, the planet's dead. If we do something, at least they have a chance.
Right.
But
So
we're
you're
gonna
saying
die.
so you're saying nobody bigs them
But I mean,
up.
they didn't like glorify.
You know
it.
why?
They didn't glorify.
You know why?
It. They
'Cause
did the right thing
'cause
without
movie
glorification.
The
you
movie
know?
ends like 2 minutes afterwards in a very anticlimactic way that doesn't really show much else. It literally shows.
That's one of my favorite scenes when
It
they
shows
when
Morgan
they finally
Freeman.
get their family and stuff on the screen, and all the family
Oh,
members
that's
get
a
like
good
10,
scene.
15 seconds.
No,
with
that's a
them
good
or
scene. But
something.
afterwards, what happens? They wrap it up really quickly. They show Morgan Freeman talking. It's like a fucking 1.5 minute
Yeah,
thing.
like
They pull
NBC.
back and they show this really CGI, the Capitol building or whatever
But you
being
gotta admit,
rebuilt.
the whole
and then it ends.
But the whole thing with like the wave just rolling over everything, that was incredible at the time to see, because you didn't see that.
Wait, it was incredible at the time.
yeah, like 1990.
Armageddon still looks pretty fucking good.
No, it does. I'm not saying
It looks
Armageddon
better.
looks bad.
No, but Armageddon looks better.
But
though.
you don't
it
see
holds
that.
up better.
You
It
don't
holds
see
up
like
better.
that impact where like you see.
he's like shaking his head like he's
No, because they save everybody.
Now you're being irrational. Now you're just being irrational.
The guy with the dog, like there's a lot of shit in
It
Armageddon.
looks, yeah, it's
still
because
looks
it's so
good.
stylized. It still looks great. It looks like it could have come out, this year.
So
Like,
it has a
that's-
more lasting visual effect.
sure, yeah.
So that's a
It's not
plus
what
over.
we're-
That's a plus over Deep Impact.
I feel
How
like
is that a plus?
we're
it's
Yeah.
common.
It is.
Independence Day,
Looks good.
yeah.
But Independence
after
Day to
tomorrow-
me looks
but-
as good as Deep Impact.
Exactly.
It does.
So
I mean,
Independence
wait,
Day.
it
what
looks
did you
as good
say?
as Deep Impact.
What does?
Independence Day.
No, that's not. That's not. It looks as good visually.
I mean, like they
No, the
have like
color
a
scheme
similar
is-
tone. Like
the
and
color
even the
scheme is
special effects
similar.
are similar. Like it's.
No.
I don't think that
Not special
one's-
effects. That ship coming in still looks good.
It does, but it's not like CG. It's like it's miniatures.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
That's CG.
No.
You know what I would compare?
It was miniatures, right? For Independence Day. They used,
That's absolutely CG.
there's CG towards the end with the smaller crafts and stuff like that, but I think they actually built like a life-size miniature,
I don't
and
know.
then they filmed it old Star Wars style.
I don't know. I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, I don't think so.
Go
But
watch the making of it. It's on your DVD.
You know what Deep Impact reminds me of? Day After Tomorrow.
Yeah.
I love that film.
It's
Yeah.
a great movie.
Yeah, but it's not an Independence Day type of film.
I feel
Also,
like
that's what I'm saying. It's two
is
different.
better than Deep Impact in terms of.
Well, what I'm saying is like,
Ooh, what?
I
I don't think
how
Day After Tomorrow
spectacular
better
it
than
is.
Deep Impact.
I care
Deep
about the
Impact
characters
is like
more.
Day After Tomorrow, and Independence Day is like Armageddon. So you see, there's two different styles of film. If you compare
Right.
Independence Day to Day After Tomorrow, one is story based, and one is more spectacular. Like
I feel like
Michael
one
Bay
gets your
would do.
adrenaline pumping,
Yeah,
and the
one
other
is
one is like this
blockbuster,
like
the other one's
somber
more
kind of
story-based.
experience.
Yeah.
Like
I don't
Deep
think
Impact
it's-
And
is
this is not
like
me saying that
it's thrilling, but
Yeah.
it's thrilling in.
Look,
from a
I don't
dramatic
agree with
point of
Neil
view.
where I thought the characters were great in Armageddon. I enjoyed it. I had fun. I would still watch it again.
See,
I would laugh at it. I would
better
get emotional.
experience.
I
I also
live
think that
tighter.
they were
I will find
fun.
new ways to
Yeah.
use animal crackers.
That animal cracker
That
scene
was
is
like-
sweet. It's a sweet scene.
I feel like you guys have misinterpreted.
But actually-
I do love both of these movies. I enjoy. All right, love is a stretch. For
Yeah,
Armageddon.
I don't think either one is
I really
phenomenal,
like
but-
Armageddon, and I love Deep Impact, but I don't dislike Armageddon at all. I've watched the movie like 20, 30 times. Like I've seen it many, many times over the years. I might own it. I can't remember, but it's a great movie. I like The Rock. I like some of Michael Bay's films. I'm just saying in comparison to this, as far as a disaster film and how they portray the events of this disaster, they're just two wildly different films.
Would you
and they're-
prefer to watch
there's
Deep
so many-
Impact over Armageddon?
He always does that.
No. I'm asking
Yes.
you.
I would watch Deep Impact
You
over
would?
Armageddon. Yeah. For me
Let me ask you-
personally,
let me-
I know
let
a
me
lot
ask
of
you guys
people
this
that
way.
would choose Armageddon because Deep Impact's too heavy for them.
Let me ask you
It
this
did
way.
not feel like a heavy movie.
Let me ask you this. Okay,
It's
Nick,
a heavy movie.
what makes you say that Armageddon is a better movie than Deep Impact?
Okay, I think that there's more care to details and attention to making every scene really count towards the whole overall movie. I feel like it's got better pacing. I feel like it does have an ensemble cast, but focuses on a clear solo narrative throughout the whole film. I feel like it's visually more stunning. It's more exciting, like the asteroid, the whole thing, even though it's got similar premises, even the space scenes and the dropping on the asteroid, all that stuff is way more exciting in Armageddon. I feel like I would rather watch Armageddon over Deep Impact just in terms of keeping my attention. Deep Impact's like a couple times you could watch it, that's fine, but watching it over and over, nobody wants to do that, not even you, Neil. You don't want to watch it over and over.
Well, I mean, you asked, would I rather watch that versus?
No. I'm just
Armageddon,
saying it's not
over and over.
a movie you really do want
Yeah,
to watch
Armageddon-
over and over. Armageddon's one that actually, even if you go, oh, it's got no substance, I'm like, if it's got no
See,
substance,
that's
how come
the
you keep going
thing.
back for more?
But this is an interesting comment, watching it over and over again. I mean, from my point of view, a film that you can watch over and over again is a film that you enjoy, but also a film that doesn't like jar you. You know what
kind
I
of
mean?
like the Hamilton soundtrack. You just, you.
You can listen to it over and over again.
But why? You love
Because
the soundtrack.
it
And
like-
you
like
listen to
would
it over
you-
and over, so
I-
your argument falls apart on that.
No, it doesn't. I mean, like, would you watch? I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of like some great film but it's like a dramatic.
Crash.
Yeah, like, would you watch Crash over and over and over again?
100%.
Really?
I would.
Yeah, I might. It's a really good movie.
Like
I mean, some people
would,
might
like
argue
every
with me,
week,
but I
like
the
watch it
movie.
or something. Like to go to, you're going to sleep, you put Crash on.
So-
You're like,
As I said
hanging
before,
out.
I watch depending on how I feel. So I would watch Deep Impact when I feel like I want to watch Deep
Yeah.
Impact, and I would watch Armageddon when I want
Right.
to be, have a laugh, But when on a story, I will watch Deep Impact.
But I mean, there's those movies that you could like put on any time, regardless of how you feel. Like,
You think those are less? Those are less in the
I
eyes
think
of-
that the reason that people have those type of movies that they watch is because it's not something like you can like kind of like have it playing in the background, but not really. It's something you've seen over and over again, but something that doesn't have as much impactful substance.
Deep Impact doesn't have as much deep impact.
It doesn't impact you deeply.
Right.
And so, and it's like, I don't know. I mean, people, to me, like, I feel like I've never run into anybody that watched watched Armageddon and walked away and were like, man, that was
So
like,
basically-
10 years later, they were like, that was the greatest.
Dude, I hear that all. You
Love
hear that a
story
lot
I've
about.
ever heard.
No,
Or
but
remember
people
that
go, "Oh
scene
man,
with
that's an
Bruce
awesome
Willis?"
film. Oh, that's so great." Like that is the way they'll describe it. Because,
Armageddon?
Yes, you've heard that. Come on, man.
It'll be
People
like
go,
this.
That's a great movie.
This
Like,
is what
oh,
would
that's-
happen.
I
No.
love that movie.
Why
That's
did
awesome.
why did Michael Bay, the director, dislike the film so much? Why did Ben Affleck on the commentary on the Armageddon DVD and Blu-ray release say that it was like a bad film?
That's
like,
not what he said. Don't ever try to distill it to that because he didn't say
Imply-
that. He's joking and
imply that the
sarcastically
film
talking
was
about
ridiculous.
No, he's talking about
story is
specific.
ridiculous.
He's talking about very specific plot points in the movie and everything like that. He
But
goes,
it's
"Oh, this
like-
is ridiculous."
Even the people who are in the movie are shitting on the movie.
No, they're just like, they know that it's implausible. They know that it's crazy, but it's got a lasting impact because people do enjoy the film. It's an entertaining. People try to do entertaining films and they fall flat. They're not fun. That's a fun film. That's all it's trying to be. But it adds other elements in it. It adds romance. It adds emotion. Like it doesn't just do it and have no emotion. It's not devoid of human, feeling.
No, I don't think that.
No, but I'm just saying, like that is not easy to do. When you create a film like that, like some are just such eye candy that when they try to put human elements or human emotion in them, they fall flat. They don't connect. That is a movie that jockeys between this visually stunning, appealing, out of this world concept and still makes it feel something. You still feel when you watch that movie. That's not an easy thing to do, especially with a lot of special effects.
This was another interesting point
I felt
that I
stuff
noticed.
during Deep Impact.
Yeah.
No, I'm not
So
saying I didn't.
You know
'cause I
what's
did.
interesting?
I still do. It's like, Deep Impact would be like if you just broke up with someone, you would watch that because you're emotional and you want to get a good deep story. But then like
Armageddon's like the date
Let's
night
say
the
movie.
difference.
Hold on.
Armageddon
Let me
is the
finish my
date night
statement.
movie is what
and
Armageddon
then
is.
and then Armageddon is when you're back on top and you're hanging out with your homies. Let's watch Armageddon. Yeah, let's do that and get entertained.
So you said Armageddon's like a roller coaster earlier, right? This is what it's like. Armageddon's like a roller coaster where you find the love of your life on that roller coaster ride, and then you break up with her halfway through, and then you get back together with her, and it's crazy, and your friends are throwing up, and some of them are drinking beer, and it's crazy. Hold on. And Deep Impact's like sitting in a car and having a conversation, and sometimes it's exciting, and eventually it runs its course, and you're like, we're about 45 minutes past where I wanted to end this conversation, and then it finally ends. You get out, you say goodnight, and maybe there's a peck on the cheek. That's the end. That's
you're
Deep
right.
Impact.
You're right. Deep Impact is like in the car. It's like I watched the movie Lock. All in the car, still good.
Yeah, I prefer Lock over Deep Impact.
So I will. This was an interesting thing that I noticed. Deep Impact actually has more prominent female characters, like in stories surrounding female characters than
True.
Armageddon. Armageddon, there's like it occurred to me. I was like, oh my god, there's like one or just like two women in this entire goddamn movie, and like 80 dudes.
There's more
being
women in the movie, but in
misogynistic,
terms of
being
actual
misogynistic,
characters.
honestly, like that's really what they're doing. And like,
But those
in
are
Deep
those
Impact,
kind of people.
There's
Like,
like
we know
Tia
what kind of
Leone.
people.
There's Tia Leone's boss. There's Tia Leone's mother. There's
Leah Sobieski's mom.
the chick,
and-
the female astronaut. I forget what her name is, but like, there's all
That
these
chick, the female
moments
astronaut, don't
between
remember what her
women.
name is, and you're talking about the Armageddon.
But it's like it feels more balanced.
You have a
Humanity is
misogynistic
made up
view.
of men and women. It's not made up of just like 12 dudes and like guys going to like loan sharks so they can go to the strip club.
No, wasn't
and
there
all
actually
that,
a
you know what
female?
I mean?
Wasn't
It's
there
like
a female?
hokey.
There was a female astronaut in Armageddon.
There was a female, right?
There was.
But she was kind of like a dude.
Was
she
there
was
more
like
than one,
very.
though?
She was like
She
a
was
tough chick,
tough
like,
chick,
and
yeah.
she didn't.
Was it one?
She
or
wasn't
was it
portrayed
two?
as very
because
feminine.
There was only one in Deep Impact. If there's two
No, she
female
was
astronauts,
Armageddon had the female pilot.
Yeah, she
Right.
flew the craft. She survived, I think.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they killed the guys and they kept the woman alive. Come on, that's cool. No, but I get what you're saying. No, that is true. But those are the kind of people they show that
But
right
that's a
from the
Michael
beginning.
Bay thing.
Hold on, they show
It's
that
like a
right from the
Victoria's
beginning.
Secret
By the way,
director.
Tia Leone was in Bad Boys. It was a Michael Bay film. Just connection. Okay, but
I know that.
let's look. I know. Yeah, I know that. Okay, what I'm saying.
Tia Leone,
is
though.
Armageddon, right from the get-go, shows you who these people are, and they're these guys out in the middle of fucking ocean, drilling for oil, and they've got like this girl who's got his daughter. Hold on, let me finish.
That's not even how guys
Remember
would
the intro
be
music?
Let me
on an
finish.
oil rig.
Let me finish.
It's unrealistic.
Remember the music?
Yeah, that's how it starts. It get you going. Anyways, Yeah, it's great. Anyways, so then you got Liv Tyler, which is like his daughter, and he's like this rugged, gruff old guy. Like, and he's like, I got this girl that I had to raise amongst all these brooding, like crazy guys. But they loved her. They were caring. They were all more like surrogate fathers to her and guardians. And that was a sweet dynamic between them. She grew up with like, this is my family. Right? These guys, they weren't all misogynistic. They really weren't.
I'm not saying
they
all of them were.
No, but they really cared about her. Like that was a real thing. This was like their daughter. And this was her family, and that's kind of a cool dynamic. And that's so yes, okay, you're right. There aren't, but that was kind of the story they were trying to tell. Was this girl that was like a fish out of water in a normal scenario like that? You'd have a bunch of guys be misogynist, whatever, and it wouldn't be a good place. But it's like no, that they took her in and it changed them, and they changed her and she changed them.
You're like
no, they probably made them respect women. No, it's the kind of you do get that idea. They respect her. And they was able to change them in a way where they were able to go, oh, this is a female, and it's not just a bunch of guys on this thing being gross and treating women like there's something separate. They had to raise this little girl, and that changes.
But it was like
Bruce Willis was able to.
It was
feel
just
more.
her. I mean, and they, honestly, they didn't even really like. They have the dynamic between Ben Affleck and Liv Tyler, but it was like there was no. I mean, there was like there was father daughter.
Yes.
And there was a recurring thing with what's her name? The lady that was in Teenage Mutant Ninja
Judith
Turtles.
Hogue. She played April O'Neil in the original Ninja Turtles.
She was.
Yeah, she's the ex-wife of one of the riggers, like Bruce Willis's closest friend or whatever.
Yeah, and so there was that dynamic where his
son
son was there, so father son, like that was nice, but like it didn't. I feel like that kind of dynamic didn't really come close to the emotional impact that Deep Impact brought with like the parent sibling or parent child thing.
I thought I identified
because it was like that was a major
appreciated-
theme throughout. I mean, Elijah Wood, with Lily Sobieski and her mother was pregnant at the beginning of the film, and then later she had already given birth to her Lily's sister, and then
but it jumps
that whole
forward
scene where
so
she's like
much.
and it's so. But Deep Impact to me is so jarring. It's like they show you these moments where like there's no time to think.
Yeah,
like there's no time to think. Like you just have to act, and they just like miraculously Elijah Wood shows up at the end, like on the bike. He magically finds
ridiculous.
them in a sea of thousands of cars.
It's ridiculous. You talk about implausible. He's literally just riding his dirt bike randomly. He goes from freaking Missouri to Virginia.
Dude, that guy he's trying to get laid. We discussed this. That was
this guy goes from Missouri,
wife, bro.
God, this
it
guy
was his wife.
This guy goes from Missouri to Virginia. He gets there. He gets this dirt bike. And then he just starts riding through a sea of traffic where there's easily 10 to 14 rows of cars, and he's just weaving randomly.
Dude, he made that shit happen.
He's just randomly, and he happens to see her. Like she sees him.
She saw him. He drove by her.
And he's got a helmet on, so I don't even know how she knew that was him.
It was the
But
bike.
that's crazy. That's cool.
Bike.
That's cool. You accepted it. See, that was cool.
That's
I
the
know
whole thing.
it's
You
totally,
accept it with Armageddon. You accept it because it's a fun story.
I didn't accept it.
Because you're an asshole.
No, I wasn't going to let Michael Bay trick me. I want a refund.
I feel like retroactively you felt that way. I don't feel like you felt that way when you originally saw the movie.
No, when I originally saw the movie, I drank the Kool-Aid like everybody else. And I was like,
and
that
then-
was a great movie.
and then
the closer I looked, I was like, wait a second.
No, the internet
Did he
poisoned
just
your
pull
mind.
one over me?
The internet Kool-Aid's what got to you later, like that
Yeah,
cult
but I've
of the
read
internet.
negative things on Deep Impact, and I don't feel that way because Deep Impact had an impact.
There's more conversations. There's more conversations about Armageddon than there are Deep Impact. That's why you
had a
hear more
really
about
deep
Armageddon
impact
because it's
in
got
my
more.
life.
141,000 reviews of Deep Impact on IMDb. 343,000 for Armageddon.
Roger Ebert
More
gave-
people are watching Armageddon than Deep Impact. We
Ro-
know this to be true. It was a more popular movie.
Roger Ebert gave Armageddon 1 star.
But that's
and he
like
gave
saying
Deep Impact
I should eat more
2.5.
KFC
2.5.
chicken instead of eating what's good for me.
Wait.
Which
Your
Deep Impact
metaphors
is
are
really
shit sometimes. You say
Deep
shit and
Impact
this makes
is
us
good
stop.
for me.
Yeah, Deep Impact is good for him. It's vegetables, man.
It's more. Yeah.
When was the last time you watched Deep Impact, Diego?
I watched it fucking yesterday. I
did
watched
you?
it yesterday. Yeah, we talked about watching
When's
it.
the last time you watched? Oh, good. I'm glad you did. When was the last time you watched Armageddon?
Probably about 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. You should rewatch it.
Why? What was the? Oh, I'm like
You
in the
should bet-
middle, and you're acting like I'm on one side on the other.
No. Well, because you're more Deep Impact.
No, I
You haven't
said
defended
I
Armageddon enough.
Yes,
Are
I
you
have.
less Deep Impact?
Are you kidding me?
What?
Are you less Deep Impact?
What does that even mean?
I feel like you're just arguing Armageddon just to argue Armageddon.
No, I
Like,
actually-
it
no,
feels
no.
like devoid of
Okay,
like
let me talk.
genuine.
Okay, let me talk. let me say something.
Oh, no.
Here's the thing. Deep Impact, I enjoyed that movie. Here's what I enjoy about it. It covers aspects of that kind of an event that Armageddon doesn't cover. It does cover the ground. It covers more stories within the world. Like kind of how Independence Day does that. You jump around to a bunch of different people and see how they're reacting to a crazy event like that. And I actually like that because Armageddon doesn't cover that. So you get that kind of additional story or additional view of the situation that you don't get in Armageddon. So I actually do enjoy that. Armageddon covers a very specific mission. It's more about the mission. It's more about these specific people, which keeps it a little tighter, a little less messy. It can get a little messier when you go big ensemble like that, to the point where like an ensemble that don't even know each other. Like Tia Leone and Elijah Wood never even interact, even though they're two main characters. You know, Deep Impact does that. It doesn't really have them weaving in and out, which is fine. But it gets a little messy that way. And you don't have the ability to really flesh out the characters as well. Like I said, Deep Impact I don't really know a lot about those individual people and their decisions. I know a bit. Tia Leone, I know the most about. I don't know anything about Morgan Freeman as the president, really.
What do you need to know?
What do you mean?
No, like they're not fleshed out characters.
What do you mean? They're
not defined
that's broad
characters.
statement.
No. As a writer, you need to make sure that these characters, like the audience themselves, should know how that person's going to interact outside of even the movie. You know the character. They're in your head, and you go, that's what kind of person that is. This person would do that, or that's uncharacteristic. Like when you watch
I totally get that from
As an
Deep
example,
Impact.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, right? What is that? 6 characters, right? And they're shit. They're shit characters. Total pieces of shit people, right? They're 5. They're 5 of them. And you know each one of them is vividly different from the other. They are completely different people.
Yeah,
you
but
would
they've
never
had
get them blend. They don't betray.
12 seasons to.
They had that
get
formed
there.
within three seasons, and I get that totally.
That's a lot more time than a 2-hour movie.
I know, but that's the job of a movie, though. Armageddon does it. You
But
know these characters are
Deep
different.
Impact did that for me. I don't understand.
Morgan Freeman was the president. That's all you needed to know. He was there to relay
I'm just saying
the bad
they're not
news
very
to
clear.
mankind.
They're not
like,
very clearly different characters. They kind of blend together as people. The only one that gets enough screen time to really show more about her is Tia Leone, because it gets messy when you have a bunch of different
feel like-
characters. You don't have the time. It's not their
Robert
fault.
Duvall, I feel like had
I
decent
think
amount. Like
little bit.
his the few scenes he was in, like I feel like stood out and
Yeah, they're
you
fine.
know,
They were
Gus
fine. They're not as
Partenza.
great as Gus Partenza, John Favreau.
I think I got like.
No,
Tia
it
Leone
did.
would be.
It
She's a hard
communicates.
fucking
It's just
worker. Like, I
fine.
can see her every day working hard for trying to get her life
She's the
together
one-
because she doesn't really want to talk to her dad. I think she was super fleshed out.
She's the one I said.
Elijah Wood.
Tell us about Elijah Wood.
He's totally about his family. He's such a family supporter. Like I totally see. And
He
then when
leaves
that
his
whole
family.
He leaves his family because he had to support his new family. He had to take care of his wife.
He didn't even want to take the baby at first.
Dude,
He doesn't give a shit about her parents
that
at all.
scene. That
No,
scene.
he knew that.
No, because he knew
where were the
what
parents
his-
going to go?
I know, I
He
get
was on
that.
the same page as the parents.
Oh,
It was Lily
he knew
Sobieski
what
that
he
was
had
like,
to do.
No,
This guy
I
has
gotta
knew what
die.
he had
the
to
asteroid
do.
is literally named after him, and he couldn't verify and make sure that the names of the parents were actually on the list. He tells
No,
her.
he said
no,
he
hold
did.
on.
He tried to verify.
He didn't solve it. He didn't solve the
did-
situation. He didn't grab that soldier by the lapels and go, that fucking asteroid is named after me. These guys are on the
because
goddamn
the
list.
parents
14
totally
years
grabbed
old.
him and changed the whole scenario.
So he's just this
but
weak
that's
little
where the
sniveling
scene went.
kid.
That's an if. That's totally an if.
He's trying to get his
statement.
dick
It's
wet
an
the
if-
entire movie.
It's
That's
an
all
if
he's
statement. That's totally an if statement. If he would have grabbed the soldier, no. The scene went that the parents said, "This is what you have to do,"
He gets
and he
all the way
took
to
on that
Missouri, then he goes back.
responsibility. And he took on that responsibility.
He did
He
go
goes
back.
all the way to Missouri, and then he goes back
That
all the way to
shows you-
Virginia. He makes it all. You know how far away those two
I
fucking
feel like
places are for
it
each
does
other?
feel a little jarring because the father, Elijah Wood's father, says we'll talk to them. We'll sort it out when we get
It
there.
never does.
And I feel like maybe they shot a scene or something like that, and they just for pacing they cut it
Yeah.
out because it did feel jarring that Elijah Wood was just like they arrive and he's like I'm going back.
Yeah, like
couldn't-
all the way to Missouri. That's a long fucking drive, Virginia to Missouri.
And it was like almost a hopeless thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it how it plays out in a movie.
It's fine,
It
but-
makes it like very exciting. Like, oh, is this guy gonna?
It was good. It was
But,
really
like,
good.
it's fine.
I feel like there were
I mean, I
scenes
can
where
sit
you
here-
felt
I
like
can
they
s-
cut stuff out.
I can
like
sit
maybe
here and say-
little transition scenes.
Yeah.
I can sit here and say, yeah, Armageddon, that shit wouldn't happen that fast. I don't think like
It was like what 18 days or
It
something.
was like 18 days.
Sure.
All that shit, like if you really think about it, Nah, bro, you can't build that ship in 18 days.
They didn't just.
Nah.
There was a
bro,
lot-
you
they
can-
built
two.
They
They built two. They built two rigs.
They cover the
They
insanity
got
of
the
it, though.
perfect people. Not even that. They trained non-astronauts to be astronauts
In like 24 hours or
24
something.
hours, and then in the middle of that, say we're gonna have to speed shit
You
up.
say this like they don't acknowledge it, though. They
No, I'm
acknowledge
saying-
all these points within the movie. Deep
Yeah,
Impact
exactly.
doesn't even acknowledge the.
No,
the-
Acknowledge what?
But there's a way to tell the story with acknowledging it,
on, let's-
and then just pass by it and give an acknowledgement to where they're at now.
Armageddon
And that's
literally talks about how these guys aren't ready. Constantly acknowledges they bypass the normal physical shit. They go, oh, these guys totally aren't physically qualified to go up, but we have to say they're okay anyways. Armageddon, it talks about that. It talks about how they had to reshift another program they already had going on to basically be this program that they're going to be sending, this mission they're going to be setting up, people that have been training for other shit. All these things are acknowledged as insane. The timeline is insane. They're like, we can't fucking do that. The timeline is insane. These guys are not ready to go up in the air, and they know that. Even the astronauts are like, what the fuck? We want to do it. We don't need these guys. All of this is being acknowledged. So you say that like that. Deep Impact doesn't acknowledge its holes. It does not acknowledge its
what
own
holes?
holes.
No,
The thing
that's
where he
the
goes
whole
from Virginia
thing.
to Missouri and he doesn't actually give a shit about the
How
parents.
No, there's
That's
two
the
ways to
thing.
tell
Like,
that.
we were
There's
just
two-
calling it holes.
He had 5 days.
No,
calling 'em holes.
there's two ways to tell
He
that.
had
There's
5
one way
days
to
to get there
acknowledge
and
it,
back.
and there's one way to just take the person from one place and take it to the next place and acknowledge where they're at now. So there's a way to skip time and not mention it and it be okay. So there's two different
They
ways to
show
do that.
Elijah
and
Wood
they,
on
and they did it
the back of
differently.
the thing or whatever.
Yeah, they did it
The truck, the pickup
differently.
truck.
Yeah, there was a
So
it was
it
like a
wasn't like
transition scene. That's fine.
Deep Impact did it wrong and like you didn't acknowledge that. This
No, but
motherfucker had to-
you were bringing up Armageddon, so I'm like, okay, if we want to talk
No,
about the
I'm
difference,
saying
the
that
difference
there's-
is one of them at least acknowledges its things that you're trying to say
I
are
guess
crazy.
My
and
whole
Deep
point is
Impact
that
doesn't.
they both had story issues where
Definitely, they both.
where logically it doesn't
Deep
make
Impact,
sense. That's
I
what I'm saying.
Deep Impact didn't have as many issues.
crazy.
No, they both did.
But like
They both
Armageddon, if that was a real scenario, like if right now, like the government said, "Hey, we just spotted a thing and we have 18
got an
days
app for
before
that.
impact," like we're dead. We're all dead. There's no
no
Armageddon scenario that's going to actually play out in real life. Let's be honest here.
You don't think we would try something?
No, I mean no. They would might
That's
like
the whole
launch
point
nukes
is
into
we're
space.
dead. We're dead.
They
if we
would do
don't.
what they did at the
Why
end
don't
of.
we just fucking try something crazy?
They would do what they did at the end of Deep Impact, where they would just launch every Titan missile that they have into space. Like every country would just launch them towards the asteroid, like as it was approaching, because that was the only way that it would get near enough
most likely.
to like detonate it. Like that's what they would do.
Right.
That's what we would do. And like right now, as far as I know, unless there's some secret space program I don't know about.
Well, but the
But, like-
movies, Deep Impact and Armageddon, have probably got NASA to get their shit together, and they probably created a
Maybe.
scenario that would solve this.
Maybe, but like in Deep Impact, like they had 2 years to build that craft
Yeah.
with the Russians. Like they
Yeah.
joined.
Which, by the
forces,
way,
like-
they don't
Yeah,
really.
but then you think about how our
by
military
the way,
is.
it's a
with,
very American.
old ass planes would needs to be.
You would think that Armageddon would be the more, hey, we're America and all that kind of thing, but
No.
Deep Impact is like that. Like
It's
they have
very-
one. There's supposed to be a joint, like Russian and America built this thing together. They got one Russian on there. Barely give him anything to do. He's the only guy who doesn't say goodbye to anybody at the end. They don't even like attempt to say, hey, do you have family you want to talk to and say goodbye to, you fucking Ruski? Like,
You
they
know,
don't give a shit about him.
It doesn't. But the film, even though it focuses only in America, like doesn't feel like overly patriotic. Whereas
It
I feel
doesn't.
like
Deep
Armageddon,
Impact?
like American flag and like super pro military, and it's like it's like The Rock, and it's like because Michael Bay's known to work with
it
military.
was
and
pro-Russian, too.
He's like
When
he
they got to
gives
the
his
station?
films to the military
Yeah.
so they can edit his films for him. Like, all
Well,
right, this is
the-
okay.
the
This is
Russian,
not okay.
the Russian in Armageddon
It was awesome.
way more exciting
But it
to
was
watch.
like
It's
it
what's
was
that- it's
also
what's that
degrading
guy?
towards Russians. He wasn't like a positive Russian
He
character.
was
even though-
good. No, he was good.
He was like an
anything.
alcoholic, like a
Because
cliche.
he was stuck up there for years. It wasn't that he was Russian.
Don't touch anything.
He was a cliche. Dude.
No, it's because
Do
he
not
was up
touch
there
a
for
button.
years. Come on, that was the whole point.
He was great. I love that actor.
Yeah.
Actually, I forget what his name is.
He's great. There's
He's
not
great in
anybody
everything I've
deep
seen him in.
back that you're like, oh my god, he was great.
He was in The Big Lebowski. Remember?
He was.
Peter
he was
Stormare.
great.
What is it?
We
Peter-
want
Peter
the
Stormare?
money,
Peter
Lebowski.
He wants some money.
Or we fuck
They're
you
nihilists,
up.
man. They're
we
nihilists.
takes the money.
He's a great actor.
He's great. He was in Minority Report as well.
There are some really great actors in Armageddon. It's unfortunate that they were in
Yeah.
that movie.
Oh, shut up.
It's like Con Air without the con.
Steve Buscemi.
It's Con Air without the con.
Steve Buscemi, he was funny.
He was
funny.
great when he loses his mind up there. Come on, there's great stuff in there. And if you don't like Owen Wilson, they kill him early.
But that's what I'm saying. Like Armageddon is 90% comedy and like 10%, if that, drama.
That's
if
okay
that.
though. It's fun. But
that was literally
movie.
the basis of this whole argument was that one was more realistic and one was ridiculous.
Yes, but everything it does, I feel like it does it at a better level than Deep Impact. The action better, the romance better.
Because
there is no romance in Deep Impact that feels like anything.
It doesn't do it better.
The emotion.
I mean, there's like
it does. I react way more to that.
No, I
last
say it doesn't
scene.
do it better.
Why?
Because it's a different style of film. That wasn't what Deep Impact was focused on.
Then what's the point
and
of
that's
a versus?
what Armageddon was focused on.
I know, but every time they even touch upon what they were,
the point is why I'm here. You two are arguing about this shit, and I'm trying to meet in the middle.
So if Deep Impact is trying to concentrate on one thing, what it's about, but when Armageddon even touches upon what Deep Impact's about, it does it better. But Deep Impact has an entire movie to do these things and doesn't actually accomplish. Like what you're saying is like Armageddon does different things, but every time it even does anything, it does it at a better level than Deep Impact. Its drama is better drama than Deep Impact. Its action is better action
I
than
think
Deep
there's
Impact.
layers of Deep Impact that you missed. Like the whole
That I
Elijah Wood,
missed.
Lily
Yeah.
Sobieski thing is like the beginning.
I don't
of,
love
like,
them. I'll be honest.
No,
I
know,
them.
but like I feel like the writer was like,
never
you know
did.
what would be cool is if we show like the beginning of like a marriage and then show the decay of a marriage at the end with what's her name, Tia Leone's father and mother and that whole thing, and they're divorced.
He just shows up and says she
he
left
goes
me.
off and does this thing, but then
They don't even show it.
But then it's kind of like it's almost like in a weird way, like this. They're showing like these different points of view of like what people are going to be dealing with if a situation like this occurred. If the world found out, like it could all be over tomorrow. Like that was the point, I think.
I know, but they do kind of speed through
Whereas
things. He just shows
Armageddon
up in
is
the rain.
like young love. It's like young love. Like that's all they're showing is like that beginning,
excitement.
beginning
exciting.
thing
It's
where
more
it's like,
palpable.
like that. But I mean, it appeals to a specific audience. The people that are going to jump up and down and be like Armageddon was a shit are the people that were like teenagers when they saw it and they're like, yeah, I can relate to
No, Deep Impact.
Ben
Deep
Affleck,
Impact showed
and I
young
can relate
love.
to Liv
Deep
Tyler.
Impact showed young love.
I
with
don't know why I'm
Elijah-
talking like this.
I
This is
don't
how
know.
teenagers talk.
No,
but like
Deep Impact showed young love with Elijah Wood and Leah Sobieski. Like they literally show young
but
love.
it's not.
and
If they don't
doesn't feel
focus
good.
on it, and they focus on it in
Exactly, they
Armageddon.
don't focus on anything. They don't. They don't fully focus on
Because
anything.
that's the point. They're giving you like this broad spectrum of the whole country.
I know, but they don't. That's
and like all these
too
things
much
that are going
of
on.
a shotgun effect.
But I feel like
trying
it-
to cover
that-
all these things that it doesn't actually concentrate and focus on one thing enough to fully fucking hit it.
But
home.
Deep Impact hits like from like a young age to a very old age, and Armageddon falls into like a specific category because
The
it
ages
was
are all over
a
the place.
summer blockbuster targeted for a specific type of person and a specific type of mindset. Like that's the reason it was made that way. It wasn't made to be like this long-lasting, memorable film. It was
But
like
it
we're
does.
trying to make some goddamn money
People
here.
are still talking about Armageddon 20 years later, and Deep
That's
Impact
only because
is falling
Michael
off.
Bay has continued to make the same
That is
goddamn movie
not
over
why.
and
That is
over and
not
over
why.
again.
Come on, Armageddon is
Doesn't
still
this
being
remind you
talked
of
about.
Armageddon? Transformers 17?
Armageddon is still being
Basically.
talked about today. Deep Impact doesn't really come up that often.
It comes up when people try to say that Armageddon's a better movie than
Yeah.
Deep Impact, and it comes up.
Anyways,
It was a weird time period where Hollywood would like release one film and then come out with basically the same.
oh, that was a
very
time period
similar
where they were
film.
doing a lot of like end of the world disaster films.
Yeah, it was. That was
big.
the
It was
popular
big
thing.
right there. It was Dante's Peak and Twister and all. I mean, Twister
Volcano.
wasn't.
It was Volcano,
Volcano.
and Dante's Peak.
Yeah.
Volcano
Yeah.
with God, what's that? Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, but going back to Deep Impact and Armageddon, it's not like I've obviously got more people on my side with Armageddon. If you look at IMDb, there's over 340,000
blanket
reviews. There's only
statements.
140, but it's also got neither one has a really high score on IMDb.
No.
But Armageddon does have a higher.
They literally
score on
have
IMDb.
almost like the same score.
It's 6.6 and 6.1. That is not the same score. That is
no,
not
I
the
think
same
it's actually
score.
6.9 to 6.1.
Armageddon. Yeah,
Armageddon,
yeah, I
correct,
thought it was 6.6. It might be 6.9. Either way, that is a significantly different score. And it's got hundreds of thousands of more people reviewing it as well. And it keeps a higher average with more people
Yeah,
reviewing
but that's
it.
like saying
So that's fine if you want to look from populace, but that's not important enough to me because a lot of people like
popular
Twilight, and I
doesn't-
could shoot
doesn't-
myself if I ever watch a fucking Twilight movie. But the thing is, Armageddon. I
Wait,
just
you
feel
haven't
like
seen the Twilight films?
I fucking hate them. I've seen them. I hate them.
Oh, you have seen 'em.
I actually really don't like them. Those movies piss me off. we'll do an episode on that if we need to.
Yeah, talk about this.
Yes, but Armageddon is just like I said. I think it's just it's not as okay. You're gonna hate this word, but it's not as lazy as Deep Impact. They put a lot more. There's a lot more energy.
Wow.
Who stole the cookie from the cookie
there's a lot
jar?
more.
Nick did, bastard.
There's a lot more energy injected into Armageddon than there is Deep Impact. Deep Impact kind of plods along, whereas Armageddon is literally it's energy.
You keep
when you just
saying that.
Well,
But it's two different styles. Deep Impact is a drama, where Armageddon is a summer blockbuster.
It's like an
entertainment
action
with
adventure.
action adventure, sci-fi.
I get it, but,
everything in it. So you
drama
can't-
can still be better than what Deep Impact delivered. I've seen plenty of dramas that I'm like, this is fucking amazing.
You
I'll
know,
rewatch
it is.
that.
I had sent you guys an article the other day that where Michael Bay apologized for Armageddon in 2000. It was like 2013 when the
Yeah.
article was written, and I thought it was like a negative article and I was just being funny. But then I read the article and it was actually interesting because he basically was saying like the studio only gave them a limited amount of time to shoot that film on a very basically a very short schedule, and then they took over at some point like editing the film, and they took over
he
creative
didn't
control.
get Final Cut.
Yeah, it was like all these weird things were happening on that film, and he felt like the film wasn't the product that he wanted to get. Even though, which is weird, when you read the article, you're like, the film still actually turned out really entertaining, and you know, there's things wrong with aspects
Maybe
of the
he
film.
wanted
but
to do something
It's like
different.
minor compared to the way he makes it out to be. Like it was just horrible. But many critics, I think, panned the film when it came out because it was so ridiculous.
Right.
And they were kind of expecting more realism or something. But I mean, it's a fun film. It's a film you can put on and you can watch, and you're laughing a lot, and you know you get teary eyed at the end, and it's it does deliver. But I feel like that may be why you feel like that it's so jarring is because he was forced into the situation where he had to like whip all this shit together and edit it the way he edited it, and it's and to you're like, oh, this is unique. This is like a special film, but maybe it was just a situation where he was forced into that position where he's like, fuck, we didn't shoot these scenes, so now we just got to jump all over the fucking place and make this like a schizophrenic goddamn movie.
Could have been.
We can't,
But the fact that it still came together, even with that, it came together. And
yeah, I mean, it's still it holds
works.
together. It's more unique in that way. Whereas Deep Impact, they probably they had time to shoot what they wanted to shoot and tell the story they wanted to tell. And
and we were watching the movie with
it's a slow burn.
Yeah, we were watching the movie with Kelly, our friend Kelly, and she specifically brought up something that she goes, a movie feels older, even though they came out in the same year. Deep Impact feels older than Armageddon.
Feels dated.
It feels dated, and it's a lot of it's also the coloring of it's very drab. It's not a vibrant film. It really isn't. The color scheme
It's
they
like
go with, the
what we
color
talked about. It's like
palette they
natural
use.
tones. It's like trying to be real.
But you see Armageddon, and it's just a lot more reds. Even the suits they're wearing are those orange reddish suits, and in Deep Impact, it's I guess blue and
even space
white.
look colorful and magical.
But that makes sense
Yeah,
to
it's
me.
more
Like-
vibrant. That's what I mean by there's more energy just like injected into this film.
But that makes sense. That 100% makes sense to me, because blockbusters, you see that when it comes to those type of films, they have more color into it. They have more deep saturation into them, because they want people to, like red, feel the sense of alert. They want people to feel those things and understand Deep Impact, why they went with such a subtle based color palette is because they wanted to be more not eerie, but just more.
It's like a somber tone, like the whole
somber
film.
tone and stuff like
Because
because it
gets
was
sadder
more
and
of a
sadder
drama.
and sadder
Yeah,
as
because
the film
it
goes
was
on.
more of a drama. It wasn't really focused on the whole. Like we talked about earlier, it wasn't focused on the meteor. It was more focused on how families are cycling, and going through things and during this event. So
I think this is the compromise we can come to, is that they're both different films about the same subject, basically, and they just cover it from a different angle, and you can basically watch them as not one movie, but you can consider, if you want to see what that subject would be like, watch Armageddon, watch Deep Impact. And it kind of was like, it hits it at different angles, but it's the same story, but it's different. Like, they really are different. So we call it Deep Armageddon or Armor Pact, if you want.
Okay, I'm so confused right now. Did you just meet us in the middle?
What is this a
did-
compromise?
Is this a compromise?
Hey,
from
I'm
Nick?
offering a truce.
I feel like you real secretly love Deep Impact. That's what I feel like.
Then he's like, he's like
will
that
say-
guy that say, "Hey guys, like Game of Thrones, we don't have a dragon."
Like, I will say the one point I didn't bring up is I love the score to Deep Impact. Like I would,
You're a score guy. You
I
love
I
the
am.
music.
If music in a film and it like just hits me the right way, I'm just like I love the movie.
Right.
Even if it's like not particularly a great movie, like bad movies will stand out to me because of the music.
Yeah.
But I love the score. I love the composer who worked on that film. I think it was James Newton Howard, I want to say.
Okay.
Or no, wait,
James Horner? That wasn't
James Horner, I
Was
think,
it?
did it. Didn't he pass away? He died in an airplane accident
an
or
airplane
something?
accident a couple years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the score, but then I didn't really enjoy the music too.
Armageddon.
Even just the score, not
Yeah,
the
the
Aerosmith
score.
song. That's
Oh,
like that. That song is, it's a
Yeah.
fun song, but like
The
score
score
itself was, it was good. It was like that whole theme
String-
that
a lot
they
of
would
strings.
play.
Yeah,
and like when they would show like the international communities and all that
Yeah.
stuff, it would jump, like Egypt and then wherever.
A lot of
like,
the
all these
Armageddon
different places.
music was very impactful.
Deep Impact. It had
A
a
lot
deep
of the
impact.
Deep Armageddon music was very impactful.
No, Armageddon. The thing is, I remember the Armageddon score a lot more. It stands out as being a more significant score. In
That's
my
funny
head.
because
Because it was
to
a sound-
me it was
yeah, it's-
Deep Impact.
Oh, okay.
That
To me, it
music
was Armageddon because
really-
it just had music that I really
Yeah,
liked
beyond
connected with.
Aerosmith, just the score
I
itself.
owned Aerosmith's God, what is that? Eat
Oh,
It?
Nine
Eat It?
Lives.
No, what's that? Eat It album? Shut Up and Eat It or something.
Shut
like
Up.
that?
Yeah.
I have that album.
Right.
Like I should have liked Armageddon more.
Yeah.
Because Aerosmith had that song and his daughter.
It was
His
their comeback.
illegitimate
It was
daughter
another
was in
comeback.
it.
They hadn't put out
Wait,
music
it
for
was
years.
it was legitimate. Illegitimate daughter? Liv Tyler?
It was
Wait,
illegitimate.
she found out later though.
Yes,
Yeah.
she said
Okay.
she was Steven Tyler's daughter.
Yeah. I mean,
and then change her
I
name
feel
to
like
Tyler.
I feel like I should like that movie because of the the Aerosmith.
But
Yeah.
you love them both.
Deep Impact wins because of all the jokes you can make with Deep Impact. Like, there's no jokes you can make with
Yeah, I'm getting out of here.
Oh, okay.
You know where I got that joke from?
gonna get him.
Bruce Almighty, Morgan Freeman holds up a sign that says, "I'm getting out of here."
All right, so
There you go.
I guess we meet in the middle. So
Yeah.
they're both great films. You guys
are.
should watch it. And I'm not down with Nick saying I shouldn't spoil a film 20 years later because I should. I want to. I'm like, ah! Anywho. All right. Thank you guys for joining us today at our 30th episode.
We should do a poll.
Oh yeah,
We should do a poll. We should do
We
a
will
poll.
do a poll.
We will do a poll.
I'm just gonna
We'll
create
do a deep
100
impact poll.
Twitter usernames.
We'll do a
Just
deep impact poll.
Somebody won the
Yeah.
armor going to get that deep impact poll. All right. There you go.
Okay, but this is our 30th episode.
This
Did
is
we
our
say
30th
that?
episode.
We said that earlier,
did.
right?
We said
That's
that
crazy.
earlier. I
That
said
is
it 3
crazy.
times.
It's been 30 years, guys. We've been with you for 30 years.
That is not accurate. One a week.
1 a week. Yeah,
One a week,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, but hey, let's make sure people go to our social media as well. We've got Twitter, we got Instagram, we have Facebook. It's Get to the Podcast with the number 2. We have some other exciting things, visual content that is going to be coming up in the very near future. Big plans we're working on.
This is our first sneak.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned
Yeah.
anything about that up until now, but we're doing this thing.
Things
We
are
got
happening.
a whole. It's not a small thing. It's gonna be a big project. What we're doing. It's gonna be visual, linked in with the podcast, but it's not gonna be the podcast. And we'll let you know more when it officially launches. It's gonna be a hard launch, not a soft launch.
We're growing
It's gonna be
people.
hard. Deep impact hard launch. Anyways, so we're gonna
Share
be
to
doing
share
that.
to share.
Yeah, we'll be doing
Yeah.
that, and it's gonna probably be news will be ready to next 4 to 6 weeks.
News about
Hopefully,
to
right?
what?
The news will be ready in the
The
next
news
4
will
to
be
6
ready,
weeks.
yes.
I'm sorry you didn't hear me, but I said the news will be ready in about 4 to 6 weeks. We'll share it with you when we're ready to.
Be prepared for
I'm excited.
a deep impact.
Yeah, get prepared for a deep,
It's gonna be an Armageddon all over again.
deep impact.
All right, thank you for listening to Get to the Podcast. That's Get to the Podcast with the number 2. I'm Tiago de Souza.
I'm Nick Gambino.
And I'm Neil Carson.
I've packed my bags and I'm ready to go. I'm waiting here outside your door. I hate to wake you up to say goodbye. 'Cause I'm leaving on a jet plane.
I don't know when I'll be back again.
Leaving
on a jet plane. I don't know when I'll be back again. Armageddon song. I know. Deep Impact doesn't have that song. It doesn't.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.